first of all, Karen, congratulations. In the Apex category of the Oracle Database Developer Choice Awards, or the Devies for short, you were selected as a finalist, and congratulations on that. I know that while you were popularly nominated by the community, all of the finalists had to pass through a panel of peers of ACE directors and Oracle development guys, and really only people that actually contributed back to the community were even part of the shortlist, and you made it onto that, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I was very honored for that. I was very surprised and very honored, so thank you, Tom.
Well, I don't know if you should be surprised. It's funny, a few of you guys have said that you were surprised, but I mean, you guys contribute back to the community. I mean, I went up to your website and I saw a bunch of the presentations that you've been doing over the years. You host them up on your website around Apex, of sharing your knowledge back with the community. You're very active in the ODTUG community. You're on the editorial board. You know, that last interview that we did, you talked all about all the work that you do on the technical journal as the editor for the technical journal for ODTUG. And I mean, I see you at the conferences, the RMUGs, and you know the really you know, a lot of the Oracle conferences, sharing and presenting. There's a reason you were selected as a finalist. So I wouldn't be so surprised. So Karen, as I was going through some of your, I went through your abstract on Apex 5 on interactive reports, and you were talking about the structural CSS changes in the how it handles CSS and JavaScript widgets, and how that affects the code changes. It was interesting that not only just the fact that, you know, you were laying it out for people in terms of how to easily use this new technology and what changes and how it might impact existing applications if you wanted to move it to it. But you had a comment in there, know your user. And yeah, what was that? What was that about? I mean, explain why that's so important to the people.
Well, it's hugely important in any application that I think any developer writes, because at the end of the day, I want my users to actually use it. And with interactive reports, there's a tendency to just give the query and put it out there and let users fend for themselves and figure it out, which a lot of users can do. But if I know that this particular set of users takes their data and generates a chart, or takes their data and generates a pivot table, or takes their data and wants to look at it this way or this way, then I can prepare those views of the data for them and demonstrate to them, look, you have this here, and now you can start your analysis from here without having to do the first parts. If I know my users are Excel users, for example, I can build in those little things so they can arrow up and down in a column, which Excel users like to do.
They're used to doing that.
Oh, Excel users love their product, and it's not my job to rebuild Excel, but it is my job to make them comfortable in their new application and give them all the features that they're used to, you know, within reason. I can't, you know, spend 6 months building, you know, sell everything. But I can, and Apex 5 interactive reports give us a lot of, pivot is huge. And then of course they say, well, I want drag and drop pivot. I said, not practical for me to build that, but if you really need it, you know, there's a plugin for that. You know? So freezable column headings is a big win, because implementations I had done with that weren't performant as well as the Apex 5 native implementation is. Of course, now they want freeze rows.
Give them an Intel Tech.
So on those little things, the main thing is to keep the users using your application and singing your praises, obviously. I heard a thing that was scary yesterday in a meeting where we had a demo of an app, and you know, it's in its early stages. but it kind of scared me because it was a top level manager who said, and we were showing them an interactive report and all the features of it. And this person had never seen it before. And he said, well, can I download the data? And we said, yeah. And he goes, well, what? I'm not seeing all the columns. And we showed him select columns. And he said, yeah, because I don't trust other people's filters. I like to download my data to Excel and then do what I want to do. And that's what I want to avoid. When I write an Apex app that's replacing Excel or Access on the desktop, there's a reason for that. We want the data in an enterprise database where it's secure, where business rules are applied all the time.
Where it's actually backed up as opposed to, oh, I lost my laptop, boom, gone.
And it's up to date. And it's up to date. You know, you can go in, 24 hours later, and if there was an update, you've got it, and it's right there in your report. But this was from a top level manager, and I was like, wow, so it's a common problem, and it's top down. This is what he's used to doing, and he doesn't trust, anything else, doesn't trust someone else's filters. So,
yeah,
it went off in my head. Our job as developers in delivering this app is to get this person, this top level person, to trust our app enough to use it.
Yeah.
Big challenge. And over the years, you get to know your clients. This person is new. I haven't worked with him before. So it's a challenge for me. And I like that kind of stuff. I think we can do it. I know we're going to deliver something that's better and more flexible, easier to deploy, more secure. It's going to reach more people in the company. Security is big because it's a medical diagnostics firm. They can't afford to be downloading to Excel and doing stuff that way, I think. So
especially with all that HIPAA regulations and stuff like that, I'm sure that a lot of the practices that are easy to do are probably not in line with the HIPAA regulations and the various different medical stuff.
Very much so, which is why we have a lot of work at this one particular company, because there's really complex stuff being done in Access and Excel, and the reports. One of the neatest apps I was able to do, one of my favorites, was to take some enterprise statistics, quality control stuff that was really complex and real neat statistics. I'm an engineer at heart. To be able to do good statistics was kind of fun, and to generate the charts and graphs to match what Excel did. Of course, when you go from an Excel page that could have 120 charts on it, one for each laboratory, one for each test, for example, we don't want to do it that way on a page. So, there's some translation, but we did some really neat stuff, and they have their house of quality, the quick view that says your inbounds or out of bounds. And we could set that up as like a mini slideshow that just goes through test. And you could see, stop here because this guy has outliers, stop at this next one. And they as a common practice, monthly statistics, if you have outliers in your laboratory, you get reviewed and you have to answer to every outlier, which is how we like to see things done. So now they have an online tool that they can do that, that's always up to date. It's 100% Apex. We automated all the data loads using the database. It's secure. It used to be everybody could see everything. Now you only see what you're supposed to, according to what your laboratory does. So huge win for them. And
that's huge, yeah.
We still have more. I'm excited for Apex 5. We haven't done that upgrade yet.
Okay.
But I'm excited because we'll have new charts.
Yeah, that's right. You're the charts and interactive reports guru.
And I think it will make my life easier in building this stuff. I won't have to be quite as clever in piecing it together, but I think I'll be able to give them better charts for what they want to do and what they want to show. And they're working with some of the top statistics guys of that company is really neat for me, because they care about what they're doing and they're analyzing things in really cool ways. And so I'm learning some about statistics while I'm able to deliver to them something that works for them, that they go, ah, of course, now I see. Now I see. And that's, and when we're in a demo and their top managers go, oh, wait, why is that out of sync? How come, Denver is off on that particular test? Now I know they're doing a job looking at the demo. So it's like, okay, we're getting there. And that's
because they're actually getting actionable data that they can make decisions on, and it's being presented in a way that actually works for them.
Exactly. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do all the time. But when we're making that major shift from an Excel spreadsheet and an Access database to a web page, and the manager immediately goes, aha, there's my problem. You did it right.
Yeah.
I love that.
So they were letting you do demos on their live data then, and ECPP picked up, hey, wait a minute, there's the problem.
Yeah. Well, actually, I do tell them, we do our demos on development data, and it was funny because this top statistics guy is saying, why are they so out of whack? And we had to reel him back into the demo because he was off on why are they so out of whack? And,
yeah. That's great. So you also said in your article, you kind of channeled David Bowie. Changes.
Yes.
I probably butchered the song, but and you were talking about how Apex 5, they've done a lot of changes on that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Huge changes in Apex 5 interactive reports, and all for the better. But what the team did is they rebuilt them from the inside out. So not only do we get the look and feel improvements that we get with all of Apex 5, with interactive reports, they rebuilt that inner engine, the JavaScript that drives all the actions, even your select columns, your sorting, your refresh, your charts. We now have pivot. They rebuilt that entire engine so that we can do bigger and better things. The two biggest things are you can have multiples on a single page, which we couldn't do before. Now I'm building, I have a little widget built out of 2 interactive reports. It's kind of an intelligent shuttle, and I'm trying to figure out how to turn that into a plugin, which would be really handy for this other application I'm working on. But this multiples is very, very useful because we've got that, we've got those features built in. So what's that? I mean, there's great new things for us as developers. It opens up capabilities. By rebuilding that engine, they were able to improve performance some, depending on the volume of data you use, and give us those new features like better group bys. Pivot is huge. That is, like I said, particularly working with Excel users, pivot just saves a lot of time and a lot of brain cells building those pivot queries. Great for end users, great for developers in terms of ease of putting things together on a page. The downside is, because everything changed, everything changed. So all my customizations, say for that same application that displays statistics, we needed to color code values. We needed to have background shading that indicated different peer groups. Very simple stuff to do with some little JavaScript that changes the CSS in the background, and that doesn't work. So as a developer, it's my job to understand this was the Apex 4.2 and under CSS, and going to Apex 5, here's the new CSS. And once you look at it, it all makes sense, as most code does.
Yeah.
It's just learning the syntax and making those changes. Now, this is where I think with Apex 5 onward, it's even more important as a developer to stay in the sandbox, using the APIs and staying in with recommended. The recommendation is use dynamic actions instead of writing your own JavaScript. The recommendation is use, like Apex IR has an API. Use it as much as you can, because when you venture outside of this stuff, and those of us that did so in Apex, and I started with HTML 2.0, we had some old code in there. Things upgraded
A little bit different from WebDB, huh?
Oh yes, these things. You know, we used to have to, and I'll say 4.2 and under. We used to have to go outside the sandbox a lot to get the effects we need. With Apex 5, particularly with interactive reports, I had to refactor a lot of that. As a matter of fact, all of it. I had to refactor. Even if I had highlighting that I didn't use for a lot of reasons, the built-in interactive report highlighting. We didn't want that on purpose. So,
Yeah.
because when data changed, we wanted to dynamically do
Yeah.
blah, blah. We had to refactor that. Not a huge task once you understand the new CSS, because it's very, to me, it's very easy to understand. But I had to refactor all of that to get it to. The bigger problem is if you had lots of JavaScript customizations that relied on greport, which was like our comfy, familiar. I know how to add on to the action menu, for example. I know how to shortcut this button, pull that, lift that out of the action menu and put it on the page. Those don't work anymore.
So the better you were at actually making hacks around the, into undocumented features, the more work you had to retool your existing apps.
Exactly. And
Victim of your own success.
I'm sure there are a lot of plugins out there that have that same problem, that you need to do some significant refactoring to get your plugin to work in Apex 5 if it used that greport stuff. Now, what's happening, and this is kind of exciting, and we won't be able to see too much of it. I think we'll get our first glimpse at Kscope 16. Is the multi-edit, what's it? The interactive grid. The interactive grid.
Interactive grid. Okay.
Interactive grid to me is setting itself up to be like interactive reports version 2 or almost the replacement, because with interactive grid they're correcting some of the issues that we have with interactive reports, and that if I have 10,000 rows that my users say, yep, we need all that 10,000 rows. Well, that's not performant. It doesn't load well. There's this lazy loading option that's coming up that I'll be able to display the report, then display rows. Better than that, it'll kind of load rows a page at a time, whatever you define a page to be. That's going to improve the performance of everything behind the scenes. So it's I'm excited to see that interactive grid when it comes out. Not just for the edit capabilities, but I think we'll get some performance, and there'll be some drag and drop of columns. I'm not sure if it's going to have drag and drop pivot, but I'm getting excited to see that. In the meantime, unfortunately, because all this work's being put in interactive grid, I don't think we're ever going to see an API for the Apex 5 interactive report JavaScript. That where we used to have greport, we knew what to do. We were saying, oh, we'd neat if we had, official, Oracle sanctioned APIs for us to play with the JavaScript behind the scenes in interactive reports. Not on the slate for next year. And if the interactive grid takes the position that I think it's heading for, then we won't need that because we'll be in interactive grid lanes.
Because they'll have built the infrastructure underneath, so you actually don't actually need that access anymore.
You wouldn't want it to do it in interactive reports. You'd probably want to do that behavior in interactive grid. It's just how you want to build things. Now, things I'm curious about, will there be a migration path? Will it be easy to transition from one to another as we have that classic reports to interactive reports upgrade?
Yeah.
So it's kind of exciting. I've had conversations with Dave about where they're going, and with Anthony about the likelihood of the APIs for the interactive reports. So unfortunately for now, for Apex 5, well, there's all this neat stuff and this neat JavaScript behind the scenes. You're really on your own as far as using it, and you're out of the sandbox, and it's subject to change, and do so at your own risk. So.
With the initial one with 5, you say?
With Apex 5 IRs, there is no sanctioned, I should say approved migration path for the JavaScript side. If you've done, if you made heavy use of G-Report and done some real neat JavaScript enhancements for your Apex 4.2 and under interactive reports,
Yeah.
no approved migration path for moving those enhancements to Apex 5. And,
because so much of it has changed underneath the covers that there isn't a real clean, because they basically reworked the engine, didn't they?
They worked the entire JavaScript engine, and it's not even a case of, you know, the names have changed and I can do the same kind of thing. There's not the equivalent of the G-Report element or object. I'm not finding the right word for that. So it's really cool how they've done it. If you sit through and read the code, it's some really nice widgets, and the code is there, you know, if you want to read it, but it's not easy. It's not as easy to use and customize as G-Report was.
Okay.
It's not I'll just leave it at that, because and we were hoping for APIs that would let us, you know, play outside the sandbox the way we like to.
Yeah.
But those aren't coming. That energy, I believe, is going into interactive grid. So, and rightly so, because that will give us some performance improvements and loading and drag and drop. And the more I get,
sounds like they're retooling the engine versus building the API again. So
exactly. And there's, you know, these
which
guys
makes sense, because you want them to finish that work first before they start saying, all right, you know, because then you at least have a fixed target to focus around the API versus, okay, we're fixing this and this is evolving, and, you know, ever-changing APIs are a nightmare. So
exactly. And I think once I heard the direction they're going with interactive grid, I was like, okay, so we're not going to get these APIs
initially,
interactive reports, and you know how Oracle is. You work with, you know, they're never going to say yes or no or yes or no, but you know, there was general in the tacit silence, it was you're on the right direction there.
Yeah, we're not arguing with you, so we'll let you decide what that means.
Yeah, that's cool.
You're not.
So I'm excited.
You know, you're almost on the right track if nobody says that is a really stupid idea. Okay, so nobody shut it down, so therefore maybe you might have something.
Right. And you know, for people that haven't upgraded to Apex 5 yet, and people say, well, why wouldn't you? Well, you know, for this one firm I work with, you know, they've got, you know, it's a medical diagnostics firm. They've got a lot of Apex applications. Security is tight. You know, things are done properly where you develop and test and go through QA. And well, you have to do that with all your apps.
Yep.
And it's not just, you know, install today, you know, and it all runs. It doesn't, that 4.2 to 5 doesn't automatically do that. And in another client I work for, they did that quick. Okay, we're now in Apex 5 because one set of apps needed it. Well, the other set of apps that they didn't really tell us, and then come, you know, spring when we needed to use it, it's like, well, wait a minute, this doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this plugin that we used a lot everywhere, that doesn't work. So for anyone doing that upgrade, plan. It's gonna take time. It's particularly if you have
custom hacks
anywhere, not just interactive report stuff, but anywhere. This is a funny one that bit us. Was we started these apps in HTML2 2.0, and
wow.
And they've been improved and migrated, and you know, well, some stuff got deprecated, I think, as Apex 4.0 or 4.1, but it worked, you know, because it's deprecated. Well, it worked, so it never got changed. But when you went to Apex 5, it was actually gone. Yeah, it's like, oh, now I have to go change all of those, and so delete confirm. You know, I think was the simple one. Use that everywhere. Whenever you need a message, use delete confirm. HTML2 delete confirm. gone. It's Apex submit.
And so
Apex
that was actually a feature that was available since HTMLDB. It was only deprecated in Apex 4 and now is gone in Apex 5.
Exactly. And it's, and if you read the doc and did a thorough upgrade.
But who does that if it's working?
Exactly. You would have removed that code and all those HTMLDBs would be gone and they would be replaced by Apex underscores and you would have found it. But when you do those fast upgrades and every, is that right or wrong? Every enterprise is different in terms of what they can bear in terms of upgrading. If you've got that flexibility, I would say move as soon as you can. If you need to budget for a huge upgrade against 40 to 50 applications and they all need to be tested and approved by each individual business unit, that takes a bit. So you got to plan, and you don't do them every point release, So we're waiting for 5.1, and then it'll be scheduled, and it'll be at least a 6-month project to get the timing together. So, and then it's like, then do you go to 12C at the same time? And we want to say yes, but strategically you should do one at a time and not all together. So
yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Excellent. So from your perspective, obviously Apex is way more than just an Excel replacement. Because I mean, I heard you right along that line. You were talking about, security, compliance with, in this case, healthcare regulations, and just being able to give something as simple as selective access to the people that actually get are supposed to. I mean, that is security 101. And Apex and the database, that's their bread and butter, versus say Excel access type stuff. It not so much.
Oh, definitely. The key things and some people actually said, do we really want to turn on that security? Because these people are used to seeing everything.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to hear that the top managers were saying, yes, we do, and this is why. Just for the security, and I'm a proponent of use the database security, use your features in the database as much as you can. Build your interface with Application Express. I guess I'm a database logic. Put your business logic in the database as much as you can, as opposed to a middle tier person.
Yeah.
There's exceptions. I know someone will say, but what if?
Yeah.
There's always what ifs, but you weigh those one at a time. But this way, it's a huge win because they can pass audits now.
Yeah, they can pass audits.
Yeah,
it's kind of important.
Very, very important, and we laugh. But again, if you're a huge enterprise, it's just like any business. You've got a budget. You've got people that are overbooked and overbusy because everybody's cutting back everywhere. How do you build that? When do you take the time to build that? And these Apex applications are letting us deliver enterprise applications. So when I say enterprise, I mean fully secure, fully documented. We transition, 600, 700, 1,200 people to using them, and it's not an Excel spreadsheet. So it's just a big gain for them, and we can do it in a timely manner. We're not taking 2 to 3 years. We've got another one that's going to be company-wide again. One thing I can say with this company, they've been great to work for. They are great to work for. Really big on security and quality. So in terms of databases and access, and another quality control app, a review app for when there's any kind of incident, it needs to get written up. And it needs to be reviewed by X number of people at different levels, and it goes through several phases of review, and there's questions and answers. We're able to automate all of that. First, put it all online, and then automate the reviews.
You did a deep dive at Kscope around interactive reports and that. Just for the people that haven't been to Kscope, what is it exactly as a deep dive? I assume it's a hands-on workshop or a very deep and technical session. What exactly is it, and what type of stuff do you cover in a deep dive?
Well, deep dive is more, it goes a level deeper into details than a normal presentation would. And it was a deep dive for Apex 5 interactive reports because I went into the CSS changes. One of the comments I got was very boring.
Changes.
Yes. Yeah. One of the comments I got was very boring. And yes, it is. It's very, because this is what the CSS used to be. This is what it is now. And yeah, and there is no, press a button and it converts from one to the other. It's very tedious. So I had, examples of this is what it was before. This is what it is now. And here's an example of, here's where I used it before for a customization. And these are the changes I needed to make and do it. Now, of course, I just showed one dynamic action. I had, 20, more than one on one page spread across several different reports and charts. And, so while the examples can be tedious and seem simple, you multiply that between all the customizations that you've made. So in a deep dive, that's to give you enough information that you could then go out and use this stuff on your own. Or for someone who hadn't looked at the CSS or the JavaScript that is behind interactive reports, which most people don't have to. If you don't have a business case that you really need to do that, then don't go there.
Yeah.
Because if you upgrade, you're at risk.
Yeah.
But if you need to, then a deep dive session will give you that information that you need to know. What I didn't like about that deep dive, and I did it, was, with the JavaScript portion, here it is, but we don't have a nice way to use it.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. That's like, well, wait a minute. I came to learn how to use that. And it's like, and I'm telling people, here it is, and it's really different, and all that neat stuff you did before, you can't do anymore. And, oh, by the way, there's no migration path for it. Yeah. That was another comment I had, is you didn't show us how to use that. It's like, yeah, but I told you there is no way, there is no way to use it. And I know you didn't like that answer, but I think I even demoed it at one point, to show that, look, this doesn't work, and you can't just change the name or, change the name object, all the little things that you thought you might be able to behind the scenes, they don't work. Yeah. And so that was,
that's and to your point about just having a button to push to migrate it, that's not going to happen because everybody's got custom hacks. There's so many different things. It's impossible for development to actually, do a migration path for the number of Apex customizations that are out there.
Exactly.
It's so, but to your, and as you pointed out, if with this interactive grid coming out, if they retool the engine, then, once people make the initial jump and then they take your advice about actually staying in the sandbox and, not going outside and doing the customizations if they don't have to, which they won't have to as much because more of it is done in the engine itself now.
Exactly. I really think, I've changed how I develop, and I try and do it, with a dynamic action now, where I used to do little bits of JavaScript here and there. It's just not worth it migrating forward. Yeah. And I look at some of my apps in, 4.1. I have a customer on 4.1 and in 4.2, and I go, oh, we're going to have to change all that, So even now, when I build things in 4.2, I'm using dynamic actions more where I wouldn't have before. And it really, it's going to save time in the long run. But these are things you learn at Kscope.
Yeah.
Kscope for an Oracle developer. And I started out in IOUG when it was IOUG Live. And someone I worked with said, when we do OD Tug, and I said, I'll have to check that out. And sort of went to OD Tug. I did both. I still do both. I do collaborate when I can. Not this year, which is actually good for some boat things going on. And,
okay. You actually have a life outside of technology.
I do. And it's the first April that I'm home to actually help with some of the boat things. Uh-huh. And but OD Tug for developers, you will meet with the Oracle developers.
Yeah.
You'll meet with people that are building this, and they're
No, I
very,
love KScope.
and you'll meet with Bryn Llewellyn, and I recommend anyone who uses PL SQL at one point in your life, go see Bryn Llewellyn present. And he's just such an interesting man that it's all good. Stephen Forrester, very approachable, very very interesting man, and it's not like everyone is approachable at the conferences, and everyone is there to learn, and it's because you've got the people that are pushing the tools to their max. Everyone wants to show their latest and greatest little thing.
Yeah.
See, when I go to Kscope, I can't miss a session, and there's always multiples I want to go to, and of course I want to see all the Apex sessions because I want to see all the latest and greatest, and I want to know how Dimitri did that, and I want to see Mar did that, and John Scott always has something up his sleeve, and like the latest Node.js. I don't have a business use for Node.js yet.
Yeah.
But I know I will soon, and I want to know how to do it. I want to know what's possible. As a consultant, I need to know what's out there. So when the next project comes up, I know, oh, I could use this, or I could use this, or we might consider doing this that I saw demonstrated. And that's where I learn it. I think Oracle University is great. There's all kinds of training companies out there that do an excellent job. But as an individual, as a consultant, as a developer, I can go to Kscope and learn more in that 1 week than I could get out of a month solid training. And I don't sleep much. And I'm not it's just that I don't want to miss something. This isn't, we do, 8 to 5 and then we have dinner and we're done. There's,
the conversations in the hallway are a big part of Kscope.
The conversations in the hallway at breakfast, at lunch, then there's, the happy hour here, and then there's the exhibit hall, and then there's whatever we have going 6 to 8 this night. And Apex always has a, what is it? Where people
meetup type of questions or show off your lightning talks or
the lightning
something along those lines.
Where everyone demonstrates, oh, well, this is what I did, and this is what I did, and this is what I did, and of course they serve beer and all these things, so everybody comes, and you learn from all of them, and people ask questions, and it just is, for me, it's the latest and greatest from the people that are pushing to the max, and and it's all in one Kscope package and crammed into 1 week, and I go home and apply, and it's really cool. It's the best. I think it's the best training investment that anyone can make for any corporation. It's not for everyone, in that I've recommended to some people, budgets are tight sometimes, and I said, okay, well, bargain.
Yeah.
Say, I will, let me take the days, and I'll pay to go. Pay my fee. I'll pay my lodging. I'll pay my food. Bargain.
Yeah.
Say I'll go for 2 days instead of the 4. Our big symposium is on Sunday. That's not a work day. So if you did Sunday,
the Apex symposium you're talking about, Mike and a lot of those developer guys are there, and
exactly. So take a Monday and Tuesday, bargain to get the days off. There are things to do that. But you get out of it what you put into it. And then I think the next level, if you really, really want to get up to your elbows, is volunteer. Because when I started volunteering, that's when I got, it's just now a part of life.
Yeah.
This is what we do. I know people better because I'm working with them on different things. One of the best things I ever did was volunteer for the Technical Journal.
Yeah.
Started out writing book reports, and then they needed assistant technical editor or whatever it was. And then, of course, the editor resigned and I became editor. I've been fortunate to watch what happened. I think that was about 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And that I was writing book reports, and I've seen it happen with IOUG as well. We used to consume and learn via white papers and books and articles.
Yeah.
That was before Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and blogs, before blogs.
Yeah, yeah.
When's the last time you went to an Oracle test or any textbook and pulled the book off the shelf to learn? We do it online now. We Google. And then we complain like, well, get rid of Bing. Google is much better. And maybe Google is much better for technical stuff. Those white papers don't exist anymore, except for the Hyperion S people. They are very prolific with white papers. So our journal transitioned from 4 editions per year, paper editions, to 100% online. And now we're at the point where we're going to retire that paper-based technical journal. And it's kind of like, oh, yeah, it's like this pang. I've been doing it for so long that I've been, and some people don't know that's where the whole ODTAG cheerleader thing came from, because I'd be running around to everyone begging for articles, and I said, I feel like a cheerleader. And I'm like,
okay. I was like,
your stuff is great. Your stuff is great. People would love to see that. That'd be a great article. And I've done that for years. But what we're doing is we're phasing out the technical in favor for more blog aggregation in the communities. You'll see more happening with the ODTAG communities.
Yeah.
And we've got an exciting new award coming up that I can't say too much about, but it's going to honor innovation and excellence in how the stuff that makes us go, wow, I didn't think of that. Wow, that's really cool. So we want to, and these are the things that you see at Kscope maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a new award that honors those sorts of things. I'm really excited about that.
Something like Anton Nielsen's Apex Internet of Things. Yeah.
Exactly. Anton's thing, I think everybody across the board went, wow, because he actually used the technology to do something practical. You know, just like a little heat sensor, and here's a thermometer, and it's all, you know, done wirelessly and regulated, but it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I still want to build a little fish bowl and make sure my fish doesn't die. You know, that's why we do what we do. It's like, I remember that first calculus test. I remember the day and I remember the instructor, the first calculus class, and it was in college, where the instructor tied together what these equations meant in the real world, and it clicked.
Yeah.
And that's what Anton's Internet of Things hands-on did. It's like, here's a practical application, use this in the real world. Instead of, you know, what we do is far more, technology today is far more than building a web application for somebody to enter data.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you're solving a solution. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, alarms in our houses, in our cars, sensors in our cars. How do you think that car knows when to stop now? You know, it's got a video and sensors that, you know, it's all computerized. That's programmed somewhere. That's neat stuff.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it's all communicating, and those are exciting things going forward. And there'll be more and more of that. You know, your children will see a whole new world of, you know, automation, and, you know, they may get cars that they don't have to drive. You know, I have to drive mine. Depends on who's programming.
Yeah.
But that is what that new award will be honoring, is those wow things.
Okay, excellent. Great, Karen. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and congratulations again on being selected as a finalist for the Apex category in the Devies. And very well deserved. Keep up the good work and contributions to the community, and I'll miss you at the K-Scope, but have a great time.
Man.
Yeah.
We'll miss you.
So have a good time, and say hi to everybody for me. But thanks again for all of your work to the community and just giving back, and great one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
And you.